The second in the series of liquidity videos is something we're going to refer to as the acid test. So we want to define this acid test first, and then we will talk about how to interpret it. The acid test is simply a measure of how much cash and accounts receivable the business has, and then relate that to the amount of current liabilities that the farm has as of the end of the fiscal year. So the acid test is equal to the sum of cash and accounts receivable divided by current liabilities. So let me put that formula right here. It's going to be equal to, and I'll open parentheses, and I'll go back up here and click on cash plus accounts receivable, and then I will divide that by current farm liabilities. Okay? And you'll notice that that says for every dollar's worth of current debt, there's only 22 cents in cash and accounts receivable. Now, why would someone like Farm Financial Standards or a banker or a lender, why would they want to calculate a current ratio and an acid test as two separate ratios? And the reason is quite simple. When you calculate current ratio, let's go back and examine the current assets of this particular farm, J&J Farms. Notice that their current ratios include large amounts of crops in storage and market livestock. So that crops in storage, that'd be like corn and soybeans at the elevator, but in your name, but not sold. Market livestock is like steers and heifers that are going to be sold, but they're still actually on the farm or ranch. In either one of those categories, you had to report quantity and an estimated price. Okay? In that estimated price was too high or too low relative to reality, it's going to put a bias on your current ratio right here, because current ratio is current assets over current liabilities. So if you were to say overvalue your corn in storage, it would cause your current ratio to be too high. And it could actually fool you in how much relative liquidity the farm business have. Or the other thing is maybe you valued that corn correctly, but as you get into the next year, the price of that corn falls. What that's doing is causing a change in your liquidity. Now, if your liquidity was close to 1, which means your assets and liabilities are almost the same, any significant decrease in the price of the commodities you had in storage or your market livestock could actually cause your liquidity to drop less than 1. So the acid test is simply determining what percent of your current debt, and remember that's debt due in the next year, do you actually have in cash and accounts receivable, which is cash that's about to come in. So if you look at J&J Farms, they only have 22 cents for every dollar of current debt. But they've got $2.38 of current assets for each dollar of debt. Now, if I'm a banker and I see those two numbers, I realize immediately that this farm has quite a bit of their current assets in crops in storage and or market livestock. And that might worry me a little because I would realize that those current assets had to have an estimated price. And if that estimated price were to decrease, it would simply cause that current ratio to fall. So the acid test is simply a way to determine how much available cash, which includes accounts receivable, is available to the farm as a percentage of their total current liabilities. So remember, the acid test is equal to cash plus accounts receivable divided by current farm liabilities.